यशोमती नंदन व्रजवरनागर गोकुलरंजन कानन यशोमती नंदन व्रजवर.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for and a big Hare Krishna to all the devotees of ISKCON Auckland. Thank you so much for inviting me to your Sangha. Please accept my humble obeisances. Vancha kalpatarubhayascha kripa sindhuvaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnavrinda ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Vartaman Guru Vrinda ki jai. Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. So before we begin the session, I will invoke the blessings of Srila Rupa Goswami. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam, one who understands the innermost desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale, who has established the Sankirtan mission, which was the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this earth, planet, Bhutale, Swayam Rupa, he himself, Rupa Goswami. When will he give shelter at his lotus feet? So with this prayer, we begin today's session. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripathamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatharanam Paramananda Madhavam Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram. So it's such an honor and pleasure to be given this opportunity to glorify Srila Rupa Goswami. We are all Rupanugas, following the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami is such a special person, such a special person. He is the guru of all the 6 Goswamis, one of the very prominent acharyas. And we are all coming in his sampradaya, in his lineage. So Rupa Goswami's glories are manifold, because not only our spiritual life, even our life in this world is dependent on Rupa Goswami. So, I mean, even if we want to be Krishna consciousness in this world, we are dependent on Rupa Goswami. And even if we want to continue to serve Radha and Krishna in the spiritual world, then also we are completely dependent on Rupa Goswami. Because Rupa Goswami in the Goloka Vrindavan is Rupa Manjari. And in this material world, he is Rupa Goswami. So in the spiritual world also, if we want to serve Radha and Krishna, then we have to go via Rupa Manjari. That's the only way. Otherwise, we cannot get entrance into the divine pastimes, the conjugal pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And even in this material world, if we do not understand the words of Rupa Goswami, if we do not bathe ourselves with the words of Rupa Goswami, just like every day morning we take bath for our physical purification, unless and until somebody bathes themselves with the divine words and literature written by Rupa Goswami, they cannot understand and appreciate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if we cannot understand and appreciate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can't go back home, back to Godhead. So that means whether it is in the spiritual world or whether it is in the material world, we are completely dependent on Srila Rupa Goswami. So in the spiritual world, Srimati Radharani is assisted by 8 principal Sakhis that we all know: Lalita, Vishakha, Champaklita, Chitralekha, Indulekha, and then Rangadevi, Sudevi, Tungavidya. And all these 8 principal gopis, they all have again their own separate manjaris. And among these 8 principal gopis, Lalita Devi is the Guru. And Lalita Devi has 8 manjaris in which our Rupa Goswami is there. The 8 prominent manjaris who are assisting Lalita Devi, they are Rupa Manjari, Rasa Manjari, Guna Manjari, Kasturi Manjari, Lavanga Manjari, Vilasa Manjari, Manjulali Manjari, Guna Manjari. They are all assistants of Lalita Devi. So Rupa Manjari is an assistant of Lalita Devi. So all these principal gopis, they are around 13 to 14 years of age, and all this the gopis are of 13 to 14 years age, and the manjaris under the gopis, they are around 11 to 12 years age. Whereas our Rupa Goswami, he is 13 years 6 months of age in Goloka Vrindavan. 13 years 6 months. And it says in the scriptures that his color is Gorachana, that means yellow pigment color. And Rupa Manjari likes to wear dress which is in the color of peacock feather. So that is the Swarupa of Rupa Goswami in Goloka Vrindavan as Rupa Manjari assisting Lalita Sakhi, who is assisting Radha Rani. So when we go back home, back to Godhead, then we need her shelter. She'll take us to Lalita Sakhi, and then that's how we can be engaged in the service of Radha and Krishna. And here in this material world, unless and until we take guidance of Rupa Goswami, we cannot understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here in this material world, how did Rupa Goswami appear? Jiva Goswami in his Laghu Toshani gives very interesting detail. Of course, we can't go so much into the details of the whole family lineage, how Rupa Goswami came from a family of South Indian Brahmanas who were Yajurvedis, and they were from the Bharadwaj Gotra, and they were living in Karnataka. So there was this one Brahman called Sarvagya, who in his time was a great guru. He was called Jagat Guru at that time, preaching Krishna consciousness. And Sarvagya had of course he had many sons, and that one of his son was Anirudh, and then Anirudh had a son whose name was Rupeshwar. And Rupeshwar had a son whose name was Padmanabha, and Padmanabha had a son called Mukunda, and Mukunda had a son called Kumaradeva. And this Kumaradev had 3 sons, who was Amar, Santosh and Anupam. And Amar is our Sanatan Goswami. Tosh is Rupa Goswami, and Amar is Sanatan Goswami, and Anupam is Shri Vallabh. So these were their names before. And then these 3 boys, they studied under Vidya Vachaspati, and then they all got high-ranking position in Nawab Hussein's kingdom. And then that's how they became, Rupa Goswami becomes Dabir Khas, and Sanatan Goswami becomes Sakar Malik. And it's very interesting to know that since they were serving the Muslim king there, they had no idea about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when the Chand Kazi incident happened, then Nawab Hussain, he asked Sanatan Goswami to find out who is this Chaitanya. So then Sanatan Goswami, he dwells deep into it, and he tries to investigate what exactly happened, the Chand Kazi issue. And that's how he comes to know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, they are all Nitya, a part of, participants in the Nitya Leela of the Lord in Goloka Vrindavan. But here they have to stage somewhere how they came in touch with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's how they came to know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then in 1514, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to Ramkeli, and then in the night, they just give up their royal garments, and then they go and meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with a straw in their mouth, and then the conversation happens, and then there is also exchange of to and fro letters, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu guides them that you continue with your duties as of now, and when the right time comes, then you can come and join the Sankirtan movement. And then we know within a year or two, they immediately escape from the duties of the Muslim ruler. And first Rupa Goswami escapes, and then Sanatan Goswami escapes, and then they join the Lord in the mission, the Sankirtan mission. So this is what happens from the time of his birth and his education, and then how he meets Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then finally he joins the mission. And then we know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically instructed Rupa and Sanatan to go to Vrindavan. In fact, there is a beautiful verse in Chaitanya Charitamritam Antya Leela, chapter 1, where specific instruction is given to Rupa Goswami by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go to Vrindavan and what to do in Vrindavan. We'll just read that verse. It's verse number 218 and 219, the specific instruction that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives to Rupa Goswami. He says, Vrajaye rasa shastra kariha nirupan lupta tirtha sabataha kariha pracharan Krishna seva rasa bhakti kariha prachar amiya dekhite taha yemo eka bar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling Rupa Goswami, Vrajayi rasa shastra kari nirupan. Go to Vrindavan and research and write down scriptures, write Krishna Tattva, Rasa Tattva. And then he says, Lupta Tirtha Sabataha Kariha Pracharan. That is why we see Rupa Goswami is also known as Bhakti Rasa Acharya, because he wrote so many divine literatures on the mellows of Krishna Bhakti, especially his magnum opus Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And then Ujjwala Neelamani, so that's why he's called, the king of, the way he explains the divine mellows of Krishna Rasa, of course, because he's empowered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he understands and he can explain Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's love in a very simple language. So Rasa Shastra, and then he asked him to excavate the lost tirthas, all the places in Vrindavan. That's the second instruction. The third instruction he gives us says, Krishna Seva, establish temples, deities, establish services so that people get opportunity to connect with Krishna. Because when there are temples, then there is service, then there is Seva. When there are deities, then there is Seva. So that way people can engage their mind and senses in serving Krishna. And the fourth instruction he gives us says, Prachar, Kariha Prachar, very systematically you preach, lay down the do's and don'ts of Krishna consciousness. What are the do's, what are the rules and regulations of spiritual life? So these are the four important instructions Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives to Rupa Goswami. But there's an interesting book called Sadhana Deepika by Radha Krishna Goswami, where he says not 4, there were 6 instructions. So he says the other 2 instructions which were given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami was that take care of the sadhus of Vrindavan and re-establish the service of Govinda Dev. So we know, very interestingly it's mentioned here, that Rupa Goswami had 500 cows. Now usually we are thinking that, Rupa and Sanatan, because they were simply with a kopin and some water pot, but they didn't have anything. But here it mentions that Rupa Goswami did have 500 cows, and the cows were taken care by a person called Govinda Das. And it is so interesting if we see in the history that a Muslim king called Humayun, he was so impressed by Rupa Goswami that he had issued a decree that wherever these 500 cows of Rupa Goswami want, they can go and graze in any land and there won't be any taxes issued on them, and they were free to graze wherever they like. And whatever milk came out from these 500 cows, Rupa Goswami used to distribute it to the sadhus and saints of Vrindavan. So that way he was fulfilling the 5th instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is that take care of the sadhus, the saints of Vrindavan. So that way Rupa Goswami was passing his life in Vrindavan, writing scriptures, trying to excavate old places where Krishna's Leelas took place, writing down, prescriptions, what the devotees are supposed to do, not do. So the process was going on, taking care of the sadhus in Vrindavan. But one thing was pinching in the heart of Rupa Goswami, that I'm unable to find Govinda Dev. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has asked me to re-establish the service of Govinda Dev, but where is Govinda Dev? So Govinda Dev deities were originally established 5,000 years ago by Vajranabha. He was the great grandson of Lord Sri Krishna, and all over Mathura and Vrindavan he had established prominent temples and deities, and all these deities were very special. Govinda Dev was specially sculptured under the direction of Vajranabha and also under the direction of Uttara, who is the mother of Parikshit Maharaj, So Vajranabha had established all these deities, but over a period of time they were all lost. So one of the prominent deities was Govindadev, and everybody was aware of it, but they don't know where the deity is, because the deity must be somewhere, maybe deep inside the earth. And where do you know? How do you find out where the deities are? So constantly Rupa Goswami was in grief. Oh, when will I find Govindadev? When will I fulfill the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And he was all the more worried because so many other deities were getting discovered. And by that time, Sanatan Goswami also had his Madan Mohan. The Sanatan Goswami's Madan Mohan were discovered by Advaita Acharya. He got them when he was sitting under a banyan tree. And when he left Vrindavan, he gave those deities to Purushottam Chobe. And Purushottam Chobe handed over those deities to Sanatan Goswami. So Sanatan Goswami had his worshipable Lord Madan Mohan. And the other Goswamis were also having their deities. But Rupa Goswami had no deities. So he was regularly meditating, oh, when will I be able to fulfill this instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So on one mid-afternoon, in the month of Vasanta, during the spring season, the first day of the spring season, in a similar mood, Rupa Goswami was sitting under a banyan tree, and he was sitting and crying, and there were tears from his eyes. And at that exact moment, while meditating on Govindadev, and meditating on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was continuously feeling that separation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he started writing down a verse, which now we popularly known as the Prathama Chaitanya Ashtakam. The first verse he started writing under that tree, that, oh, will I be ever again able to see those beautiful 2 lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? That's a refrain. It comes continuously in all the 8 verses. And while he was writing this and crying and meditating, suddenly his meditation was disturbed, because Govinda Das came running. And he's the one who takes care of all the 500 cows of Rupa Goswami. And he says, Baba, Baba. So immediately he just opens his eyes and said, what happened? He said, I just want to let you know something special. He says, what is that? He said, among your 500 cows, there is one cow I'm observing last few days, goes on the top of a hill, and she pours out all the milk in her udders, stands there, cries, and comes back. I don't know what's going on. I've been following her for some time now. Do you want to see that? Because she's just now there exactly at that hill. And then immediately Rupa Goswami, he just runs, and when he goes there, he sees it's all very soft mud, because she's been pouring milk every single day, and there's milk everywhere, and there is a hole down where he sees there's something buried deep inside. What's happening? And then he calls all the youngsters, little strong people, the Vrajavasis, and he says, please dig. Looks like there is something inside. So then they start digging and digging and digging and digging, and the acharyas say that they digged up to 5 stories, 5 floors down, 5-story down. And then finally, Govindaji was, somewhere below, 5 stories below, and then they bring Govindadev out. And then, Rupa Goswami is already shaking and trembling and crying and shivering and all the Ashtasattvika Vikara, and is so happy. Finally, the Govindadev has appeared. And then when he takes Govindadev in his hand, he sees it's all brownish, completely with, covered with the dust, and there are small pebbles and stones in his arms and legs, and then finally he takes the deities in his hand. And as soon as the Vrajavasis hear that Govindadev has been discovered, they come from far and wide running, Jai Govindadev, Jai Jai Govindadev, and they just come running. And then the cows, they understand, okay, something auspicious has happened, and they start, run. And the acharyas mentioned so poetically that the way the cows were running, the bells which are hanging in their neck, and they're all making so much noise. It's so noisy, the whole air, and everybody's so happy. And then Lokanath Goswami comes there, and Bhugarbha Goswami comes there, and all of them come. They all want to congratulate Rupa Goswami that, oh, okay, finally you have got your deities. And then after 3 dandas, one danda is like 20 minutes, so 3 dandas means after 1 hour, Sanatan Goswami also comes there, and he brings them pots and pots of Yamuna water. And he also congratulates Rupa Goswami. Okay, so finally you have got your life and soul, your pranadhana, your deity. And then starts the Abhishek of Radha Govinda Dev. I mean, Govinda Dev, that time there was no Radharani, of course. So they start the Abhishek of Govinda Dev. And the Abhishek goes on for 4 hours. Continuously they bathe him and they bathe him and they bathe him. And what was used in the Abhishek and how did they do that Abhishek? Everything Rupa Goswami mentions in detail in Krishna Janma Tithi Vidhi. There is this beautiful book, Krishna Janma Tithi Vidhi by Rupa Goswami, where he mentions all the details how the Abhishek happened for 4 continuous hours. And of course, there's something very special about that Abhishek, that in that Abhishek, they never played conch shell. This is something special because we see all in our all ISKCON Abhisheks that happen. Conch shell is like the important thing. They'll go on blowing the conch shell. But they said that the Vrajavasis, they don't like if you blow conch shell. So the Acharyas say, why they don't like the blowing of the conch shell? Because they said, because it is associated with a very painful moment of their heart. And what is that painful moment? It's that when Akrura took Krishna and Balaram from Vrindavan to Mathura, before starting the journey, before starting his chariot, he blew the conch shell. It's like a Vijaya Shankha, victory. Oh, all victory to Krishna and Balaram. Now they're embarking on their journey from Vrindavan to Mathura and they're going to kill Kamsa. So it's like a victory sign. So he blew the conch shell. But now when the Vrindavan Vasis, the Vrajavasis, they hear that conch shell, they are just reminded of that painful incident that how Akrura took away Krishna and Balaram from us, from Vrindavan, and Krishna Balaram, they just left. They just climbed the chariot and they left. So they don't want to remember that. So that's why they don't blow conch shell. In fact, many of the traditional temples of Vrindavan, even today, they don't blow conch shell. Of course, in ISKCON temple we do, but they don't blow. They don't want to remember that particular incident, how Krishna left Vrindavan. So like that, 4 hours Abhishek happens, and finally in the evening there are ceremonies, and Rupa Goswami puts tilak for Radha Govinda, and he also draws makara chinha all over the face of the Lord. There are different signs of fish. Different signs of fishes he draws, and then he puts colored powders on the Lord, because that was the first day of spring, Vasanta Panchami, and everybody in Vraja is playing with the different colors, colored powders. So they put the powders on the Lord, and it's such a beautiful occasion, and all are so happy. And of course, they all know this is Govinda Dev, but formally Rupa Goswami names them. How here is my Govinda Dev, and he says he is Govinda because Vinda, Go is cow, and Vinda is one who was indicated by the cow, that here is Govinda because he was indicated by the cow. So yes, he is Govinda. He's Govinda, so protector of the cows. So that's how he's officially named, though everybody knows he is the same Govinda deity which was established by Vajranabha. So then Rupa Goswami, he makes a small hut which is made up of leaves and mud and straw and wood, and places Govinda Dev inside that hut, and he's been worshipped so beautifully. The sadhus, they come in the morning and they come in the evening and they have the darshan of Govinda Dev. And usually the deities are decorated with diamonds and sapphire and pearls and different jewels, but Govinda Dev was decorated with the Prakriti Vesha, all the Prakriti Shingar, some creepers and tulsi bead and Vaijayanti mala and Gunja mala and all that he was decorated with. And Rupa Goswami did such amazing services. He was offering him shikanji, some lemon water and some different herbs, and making Amrita Keli, every day offering sweet rice, and then he also gave a water pot, which was always placed next to Govinda Dev, and then he gave him a stick from a Kadamba tree, and every day he was offering morning and evening and some halwa and so many other things. And he was conducting 38 festivals whole year round. Sometimes Nauka Vihar, and sometimes Janmashtami, and sometimes this festival and that festival, and everybody was in ecstasy. All are so happy. But then Rupa Goswami thought, Arey Baba, what is this? I'm getting completely busy with Govinda Dev service, and what about writing of books, and what about the other services which were given to me by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So he immediately writes a letter to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. He says, Mahaprabhu, every day my day is like as if when you wink your eyes, I feel like my day is over. I get up in the morning, and by the time I just serve Govinda Dev, and it's already night, and then again next day, and then another next day, and then my days are passing in a wink. And what about the other services you gave me? Please send somebody to help me. And then Mahaprabhu asked Kashishwar, said, why not you go and help Rupa Goswami and you serve Govinda Dev? And Kashishwar is reluctant. He said, why should I go and serve Govinda Dev when Govinda Dev is right in front of me? You are here, I want to serve you. I don't want to leave your association. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, no, you have to go. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives him a special gift. There is one particular deity which was been worshipped in the Jagannath Puri temple for a long time. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, take this deity, and this deity is non-different from me. So then Kashishwar, he takes those deities in his hand and holds them close to his heart and departs for Vrindavan from Jagannath Puri. And as soon as he comes now, Rupa Goswami is happy because he can do some other services. And then Govinda Dev has been taken care by Kashishwar along with this deity of Gaur Govind, which was given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And of course, there were another two deities also. On that auspicious day, when Govinda Dev came out, there's another deity which came out from Govinda Dev, and that was Yogamaya, a small deity of Yogamaya also. And then, of course, eventually Rupa Goswami also discovered the deities of Vrinda Devi from the Brahma Kunda. So there were many deities to be worshipped. So now there's a temple required. How long the deities will be inside the hut? So meanwhile, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also sent Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. He said, you go and also assist Rupa Goswami. Now, every Goswami had their own deities. Like, Gopal Bhatta Goswami had Radha Raman, and Sanatan Goswami had Madan Mohan, and Rupa Goswami had Govinda Dev. But Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he had no deities. His only deity was Srimad Bhagavatam. And his only seva was giving Bhagavatam class. Morning he used to give Bhagavatam class. Evening he used to give Bhagavatam class. And he used to continuously speak about Krishna. And the way Raghunath Bhatta Goswami used to give classes, anybody who hears Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's class, they used to become devotees instantly. And not only that, he used to mesmerize the crowd. When he talks, nobody moves. They just keep looking and they feel as if the time has gone in a wink. So one such occasion, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was giving a class on Gopi Geet from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. And he was speaking on the first verse. And as he was explaining, all were sitting in the hall. And the whole crowd was mesmerized. They were crying, and tears are flowing from everybody's eyes. And they are so much listening in rapt attention. They just close their eyes and they're simply gone inside that mood of how the gopis are crying in separation of Krishna. And they're also crying, they're feeling that mood. When the speaker of Bhagavatam is somebody so pure as Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, we can imagine what must be happening to those listeners. They're all touched in their heart and they're crying. And in that situation, a Brahmana comes, he's from South India. And he just walks inside the temple and he sees what's happening. Somebody's giving class and all have closed their eyes and everybody's crying. So he doesn't understand what happened. Why is everybody crying? And then then what he sees, to his surprise, there's another elevated position where somebody else is sitting, which is higher than the speaker of Bhagavatam. Now, whatever that little spiritual understanding he had, he knows that the speaker of Bhagavatam has to sit high above, and everybody else, listeners, they sit down. That's the way. That's how the knowledge is, that's the etiquette. That's how the knowledge is transferred. And you're saying, why is this person sitting high above Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's seat? So everybody is in trance, they close their eyes and they're listening very focusedly. And this South Indian Brahmin, he just disturbs somebody, says, Hare Krishna. And that person opens eyes, yes, who is this person? Why is he sitting in the elevated position? Who is he? They say, oh, you don't know who is he? He's Rupa Goswami. He's a guru of all the Goswamis. So that's why he's sitting in the higher position. So now this person is a little skeptical. So he's just observing everybody and then he sees, oh, everybody is hearing the class so nicely. They're experiencing so much emotion. How come this gentleman, who is, who they say is a guru, has no emotion? There is no tear coming out from Rupa Goswami's eyes. He's simply sitting there and his eyes is closed. So he goes closely and he's trying to scrutinize. And then to his horror, he when he just places his fingers next to the nose of Rupa Goswami, there is no breathing. There's no air coming in or air coming out. So he says, what happened? Looks like this man is dead. So he gets a small cotton ball and he puts it next to the nostrils of Rupa Goswami, and he waits there for one danda, that is 20 minutes, and he's just shifting the cotton ball from this nostril to that nostril, keeps on moving. What's happening? Looks like this man is not breathing. What is happening? And as this thing is going on, after 20 minutes, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he ends his class, Shri Shri Govinda Dev Ki Jai. The moment he says that, Rupa Goswami and the others, they open their eyes. And the moment they open the eyes, now Rupa Goswami, he's been holding his breath. He suddenly gives out air. And when he gives out air, the cotton ball catches fire. Now this guy gets shocked. Oh, what is this? The cotton ball got fire. But the Vaishnava Acharyas, they give a commentary that the cotton ball got fire because when Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is speaking about the Gopi Geet, there's so much fire of separation inside the heart of Rupa Goswami that when the hot air, which is because of the fire of separation, the hot air that comes out from his nostril is so hot that the cotton ball burns immediately. The flame comes and the cotton ball gets burnt. So I was just contemplating that how beautifully the Goswamis had divided the services as per the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was supposed to give class, so he only gave class. He never wrote books or he never, did any other seva. And Rupa Goswami was asked to write books, so he was writing books. He was not giving class. So whoever was asked to do what, they were doing that. It was such a beautiful teamwork. And then one day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu writes a letter to Raghunath Bhatta Goswami and he says, build a temple, house of gold. This is the exact word of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says, build a house of gold for Govinda Dev. Now, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's disciple, he takes this instruction which was given to Raghunath Bhatta Goswami by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very seriously, and then a beautiful temple of Govinda Dev manifests, a small temple, very small temple. And then finally the deities are shifted from the hut to the new temple, and then the worship goes on for many, many years in that temple. And then, of course, another beautiful incident happens is that during that time, Akbar was ruling that place. He's one of the Mughal kings, and he had a minister called Man Singh, who was a pure Krishna devotee. And this Man Singh had helped Akbar to win around 67 battles so far. So Akbar was very grateful to him. So one time Man Singh was in Lahore and he gets a message from Akbar saying that, some people are protesting in Bengal. You should go urgently there and try to control them. So from Lahore, Man Singh comes down to Vrindavan. And he takes the blessings of Rupa Goswami. And then he goes to this temple of Govinda Dev and takes the blessings of Govinda Dev. And when he sees the beautiful form of Govinda Dev, he's so mesmerized. Then and there he promises, he says, hey, Govinda Dev, my dear Lord, whatever I'm going for, sorting out this situation in Bengal, if it is successful, if you bless me, then I promise you, my Lord, I'll build you a beautiful temple, one of the best temples I'll build you in Vrindavan. It will be the biggest temple in Vrindavan. He promises this to Govinda Dev. And then he leaves. And then Govinda Dev definitely blesses him and he sorts out whatever the situation was in Bengal. And when he goes back to Agra, he shares this with Akbar, that I want to build a temple for Govinda Dev. I have promised him. So then Akbar issues a decree and around 84 acres of land is immediately sanctioned for Govinda Dev's temple. And not only that, 13 lakhs. I mean, those days, 13 lakhs was a big amount. It was maybe Akbar's 1 year revenue. He gives everything in the service of Govinda Dev. Said, okay, build the temple. But of course, it took many, many years to build, though there were so many artisans and masons, and they were working 24 hours, 7 days a week. And there were camels and horses and elephants to move the big, big stones. It was completely made of red sandstone, and one of the biggest and the most beautiful temple in Vrindavan was constructed with the help of Akbar's manpower, money power, and of course Man Singh. So that's how the beautiful temple of Govinda Dev manifests, and then Govinda Dev is shifted from that small temple to the present day temple which we see in Vrindavan, the Govinda Dev temple. So of course Rupa Goswami never lived to see that temple, because by the time the temple was constructed, Rupa Goswami left this world. However, Jiva Goswami was there and he managed the show. And of course, Govinda Dev did not have any Radharani. So that was one issue. And then a very devoted king called Purushottam Jana from Orissa, he sent two Radharanis, one for Madan Mohan and one for Govinda Dev. But by the time both the Radharanis, they reached Vrindavan, the Pujari had a dream. The Pujari of Madan Mohan temple had a dream that one is Radharani, but one is not Radharani, she is Lalita Sakhi. And Lalita Sakhi also has to be kept next to Madan Mohan. So both the deities went to Madan Mohan. So now Govinda Dev still didn't have a Radharani. So then when the news went to Purushottam Jana, he was thinking, okay, no issue, I'll send another deity. But he was unable to send. Some few years passed, but some kind of an obstacle, and he was unable to send Radharani for Govinda Dev. And then one fine day, Lakshmi Devi, who was worshipped in Jagannath Puri temple, came in the dream of Purushottam Jana and said, oh, my dear king, I'm not Lakshmi, I'm Radha. I was worshipped in Vrindavan by a Brahmana called Brihad Bhanu for many, many years. And he worshipped me in the mood of father, as if I'm his daughter, and he took so beautiful care of me, and I was so happy to be served by him. But after some time, when he became old and left the body and went back home, back to Godhead, I was abandoned. And the king of Orissa, when he came to know this, he wanted to restore my service. But he didn't have, what could he do, because I was in Vrindavan. So he came to Vrindavan, took me to Orissa, and there he put me in the Jagannath temple. And over the period of time, people started thinking I'm Lakshmi Devi, and they started worshipping me as Lakshmi, but I'm not Lakshmi, I'm Radha. Please send me back to Vrindavan. Then Purushottam Jana sends this deity to Govindaji, and that's how Govindaji gets his Radharani. So like that, there are so many amazing pastimes, and how very expertly Rupa Goswami fulfills all the instructions that were given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of writing books, re-establishing Govinda Dev's service, serving the Vaishnavas, the sadhus of Vrindavan, and excavating the lost places, and writing down books which had norms that can be followed to progress in Krishna consciousness. So like that, he was doing such a beautiful service. In fact, when Rupa Goswami came initially to Vrindavan in the 1517, he was staying in a place called Dhruva Ghat. And after some time, of course, there was no fixed place. Both the brothers, sometimes under some tree, sometimes some other place, and sometimes some other. They used to keep, and of course, they had their favorite places, which they used to like a lot, and under which where they used to feel comfortable to write books. Like one of the favorite place of Rupa Goswami was Ter Kadamba. Even now we go and see that place, not very far from Nandagaon. It's such a beautiful place. If anybody has gone to Vrindavan and hasn't seen Ter Kadamba, they are missing something. Such an amazing place. All the Kadamba trees, and they all bend down, and it's like a groves, you can sit underneath, and there's a very beautiful pastime happens there. This place, which was full of Kadamba trees, Rupa Goswami, he wrote the Upadeshamrita in this place, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So it was his favorite place, and he used to sit and write. And a very beautiful pastime happens here. Of course, this pastime has many variations, and different people talk about this pastime in different way, and we could say all are authentic, because we are not sure. Every acharya in their own way they have explained this, but I'll tell you one version which I like. It was appearance of Sanatan Goswami that day, and Rupa Goswami, he was anticipating that, the visit of Sanatan Goswami, but in his mind, he was having little, it's my brother's appearance day and I'm unable to, serve him in any way. So he wanted to make something for him, serve him, at least some sweet rice or something. So as he's having this desire in his heart, Radharani, who has a very special relation with Rupa Goswami, because Rupa Goswami is a Rupa Manjari serving Radharani up there in Goloka Vrindavan. So she was just thinking, oh, my Rupa is sad and I don't want to see him like that. So she immediately takes the form of a small girl, and then she goes and speaks to Rupa Goswami. Says, Baba, our cow has given milk, a newly delivered calf or something like that, and there's some extra milk, and my mother asked me to come and give you. So here is some sugar, and here is some rice, and here is some milk. So you can just make some preparations. And Rupa Goswami is still crying, because when you see, when somebody sees Radharani face to face, what must be happening? The hairs are standing on his body, and he's shivering and trembling and crying, and is so blissful. And when he's hearing the words which are coming from the mouth of Radharani, he's so happy. He doesn't know what to do. He's crying and laughing and happy also at the same time. And then Radharani says, oh, why are you crying, Baba? Oh, looks like maybe you don't know how to make this sweet rice. I'll make it for you. You don't have to worry. And then she starts cooking it. And then she cooks it, and then she gives it to Rupa Goswami, and she goes away. And by that time, Sanatan Goswami enters, and then they have a discussion. And after discussion, Rupa Goswami offers this sweet rice to Sanatan Goswami. And when Sanatan Goswami takes the first morsel, he's like, oh, what is this? Who made this? Rupa Goswami says, oh, some lali, some small girl, from the nearby village. And Sanatan says, no, need to dig deep in this. Looks like something special. I've never felt like this. Krishna has tasted this. Now as soon as I'm eating, I'm just feeling so blissful. Just look what's happening to me. And then he says, Rupa Goswami says, no, brother, I know their family very well. They just live down the lane. And Sanatan Goswami says, okay, fine, let's go and talk to them. Because Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they used to go begging house to house for Madhukari. So they know the Vrajavasis very well. So Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they go to the house of that Vrajavasi, and they ask, and they just thank, you have sent your daughter, Lali had come, and she gave us some milk and all. I just want to say thank you. And that family says, really? But my daughter has been married last 1 year and she hasn't come from her father-in-law's house. Who came? Maybe you're misunderstanding. My daughter never came to give you anything. Then Rupa and Sanatan, they immediately understand what must have happened. Then Sanatan Goswami asked Rupa Goswami, did you make any desire in your heart? Tell me honestly, Rupa. And Rupa says, well, yeah. I had this desire that I wanted to offer you some sweet rice. And then Sanatan Goswami tells Rupa Goswami, look, we both have come here to Vrindavan to offer service to Radharani, not to take service from Radharani. Why did you make such a desire, Be careful next time. Don't make such desires, And then both of them, they relish that sweet rice. So that's one very, very sweet pastime that happened in Tera Kadamba. The Tera Kadamba trees are something really, really special, because they had the association of this great devotee Rupa Goswami. In fact, it is said that when Rupa Goswami used to write literatures explaining the leelas of separation of Radha and Krishna, he used to sob himself while writing. And in his association, the Kadamba trees used to sob. And how they used to express their grief is that all the leaves of the Kadamba tree would fall down to the ground, because they're also feeling the grief when Radharani and Krishna are separated. And when he used to write literature wherein there is a reunion of Radha and Krishna, then all these Kadamba trees, they manifest fresh, newly grown green leaves, and they become so happy and they're swaying. So like that, the association of great saintly people can even make the trees and the birds and the animals and the stones feel the Ashtasattvika Vikara. They're feeling all the emotions of bhakti. So like that, such a beautiful pastime happened in that place, Tera Kadamba. And these Goswamis, they were regularly doing this one thing, is Shravanam and Kirtanam. Either they are writing the books, or they are discussing these books with the others, or they are hearing Krishna Katha. That's what they are doing. 24 hours they are in constant meditation. So on one mid-morning, Raghunath, Dasa Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they were in Radha Kund, and they both were discussing Krishna Leela under a bakula tree. And then Sanatan Goswami comes there and they join the discussion, and three of them are relishing Krishna Katha. And then Sanatan Goswami says, "Hey Rupa, we want to bathe, we want to relish, we want to decorate our minds with your beautiful writings. What have you written recently? Please share with us." So then Rupa Goswami, he shares the verse which he had written in Chatu Pushpanjali, that is an offering of flower of verses to Radharani. And in that verse, he had compared the hair of Radharani, the braid of Radharani, said that, "Dear Radharani, the braid of your hair, it moves as if, glistening like a cobra snake, the way it dandles." So immediately Sanatan Goswami corrects him. He says, "Rupa, is it correct to compare Radharani's hair, the braid, the plait with the snake, with a cobra snake? And, maybe you need to change that." And then Rupa Goswami says, okay, he will make the changes. And then Sanatan Goswami says, okay, now I'll go and take bath. So he goes to the Manasi Pavan Ghat for taking bath. So while he's bathing, he, in the ghat, he sees that, there are many kadamba trees, and he sees there's some children, some girls playing there, and they're laughing and making a lot of noise. So his attention is driven there. And then he sees a very beautiful girl who is swinging. In those days, they used to tie those big ropes to the branches of the tree, and the children, they play. So this one girl was sitting in the swing, and all the other girls were laughing and making jokes, and they were pushing her from behind, and that's how they were swinging her, and she was laughing. And while Sanatan Goswami, he observes that, he sees, oh, that little girl, there is a snake dandling on her back, and she's not seeing, she's not aware of it. So he starts shouting on the top of his voice. He says, "Lali, there is a snake. Be careful, dear children. Be careful, there is a snake." And nobody's listening to him. So he comes out very quickly, puts himself, puts clothes, and he runs towards that place. As he comes closer, the girls notice him and they look at him. And then he says, "Children, I've been, shouting on the top of my voice, there is a snake. There is a snake behind, there's a snake dandle on your back. Look there." And as soon as the girls, they hear that, they start laughing. They don't move. They just simply laugh. And Sanatan Goswami is wondering what's happening. And in a flash of a second, everybody's gone. There is no swing, no children, just nobody. Then it dawns upon Sanatan Goswami, oh, so this was Radharani. She's just trying to show me that, yes, Sanatan Goswami, really my hair looks like a snake, like glistening like a snake, and she just wanted to show it to him, And then Sanatan Goswami runs back to Rupa Goswami and says, "Hey, don't change that. That's correct what you said. Yeah, Radharani's hair does look like a snake, like a hood of a cobra snake. It's glistening like that. So like that, such amazing pastimes Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami and Sanatan Goswami used to have on regular basis with Radha and Krishna. In fact, Rupa Goswami is all the more special for all of us Gaudiya Vaishnavas also, and especially as ISKCON devotees, because our Srila Prabhupada got direct instruction from Rupa Goswami. In fact, I'm reminded of this pastime when Srila Prabhupada came in the beginning to Vrindavan. He was staying in Vamsi Gopal temple, and at that time he was not in Radha Damodar temple. He was in Vamsi Gopal temple in the beginning, and there he had a dream one night. And in that dream, he saw that Rupa Goswami was sitting there, and he was surrounded by all the other Goswamis, and there were many other devotees, and they were singing and dancing, and amidst all of this, Rupa Goswami was looking very affectionately at Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada took it as a sign that Rupa Goswami acknowledges him and he wants him to take up his Krishna consciousness very seriously and preach Krishna consciousness around the world. And then from Vamsi Gopal temple, Srila Prabhupada shifted to Radha Damodar temple, and that was a feast to his eyes, because I know in the 2 rooms that Srila Prabhupada lived, from the place, his place where he used to have prasadam, there is a small window, and from there he could directly see Rupa Goswami's samadhi and bhajan kutir in the courtyard, in the Seva Kunj courtyard of Radha Damodar temple. And Srila Prabhupada mentioned many times that, he used to, keep looking at Rupa Goswami's samadhi, and not only looking, he was constantly praying for Rupa Goswami's mercy, that, my dear Rupa Goswami, please appear to me, guide me, instruct me, protect me, empower me so that I can fulfill the mission of my Guru Maharaj. In fact, one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, Guru Das Prabhu, was saying that one time Srila Prabhupada shared this pastime with Guru Das Prabhu, that one time while Srila Prabhupada was having prasadam, Rupa Goswami appeared to him. He actually appeared to Prabhupada, and he looked at Prabhupada and he said, well, now you have already written books, so don't keep anything in your heart. You just go to the West and start preaching. Now you are equipped enough, and you go ahead now and you start preaching in the Western countries. Now you have written the books and you are already ready. Don't keep any apprehensions in your heart. And Srila Prabhupada said that I felt so happy when I received that instruction, because that is the instruction I received from my Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, on the first meeting itself, when he told me that we get money, print books, or go to the Western countries and preach, or translate the books in English, or preach in English language. So, and Rupa Goswami also gave a similar instruction. So he said, I felt so happy and empowered. Yes, I'll do it now. I have instructions from 2 acharyas. So that's why Srila Prabhupada had a very, very special relationship with Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami, though he was younger to Sanatana Goswami, but he is the guru of all the Goswamis. He is the acharya of all the Goswamis, and all of us are called Rupanugas. In fact, there's a little controversy about Rupa Goswami's initiation, because some places I have read and heard that he was directly initiated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but in some places they say he took initiation from Sanatana Goswami. In fact, in his Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Rupa Goswami, he addresses Sanatana Goswami as Prabhupada. So the conclusion is drawn that maybe he has taken initiation from Sanatana Goswami, but that we are not sure. So finally, on the day of Guru Purnima, after living for 35 years in Vrindavan, Sanatana Goswami left his body, and Rupa Goswami did the final funeral, and then he was giving samadhi in the Madan Mohan temple, and grand feast was given to all the Vaishnavas. And after all the ceremony was over, Rupa Goswami entered inside his bhajan kutir, never to come out. He constantly kept chanting and less than a month, just around in 27 days after Sanatana Goswami left his body, Rupa Goswami also joined Radha and Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan in their Nitya Leela. And that was sometime around in 1564. So that's how Rupa Goswami, he left the world. So, of course, I think it's already 1 hour. Yeah, and I don't want to take more time. And of course, we can go on and on and on, and there's so many beautiful pastimes and so many wonderful books and bhajans that Rupa Goswami has written. But since Radha Ashtami is fast approaching, we can sing the 4 lines of Radhika Stava, which was written by Rupa Goswami, and then we can end our class here. course, I don't have any mridang or kartal here, but we can just, because that Radhika Stava has very interesting, mentions very interesting qualities of Radharani. So it's just four stanzas. We will just sing it in a simple tune and then we'll end the class today. Thank you so much. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Damodara Rati Vardhana Vese Hari Nishkuta Vrinda Vipine Se. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Vrishabhanudadhi Navasasi Lekhe Lalita Sakhi Gunaramita Vishakhe. Vrishabhanudadhi Navasasi Lekhe Lalita Sakhi Gunaramita Vishakhe. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Karunama Kurumai Karuna Bharite. Sanaka Sanatana Varanita Charite. Karunama Kuru Mai Karuna Bharite. Sanaka Sanatana Varanita Charite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. O Radha, O beloved of Madhava, O you who are worshipped by all the young girls of Gokula, all glories unto you, all glories unto you. You who dress yourself in such a way as to increase Lord Damodar's love and attachment for you, O Queen of Vrindavan, which is the pleasure grove of Lord Hari, O new moon that has arisen from the ocean of King Vrishabhanu, O friend of Lalita, O you who make Vishaka loyal to you due to your wonderful qualities of friendliness, kindness and faithfulness to Krishna, O you who are filled with compassion, O you whose divine characteristics are described by the great sages Sanaka and Sanatana, O Radha, please be merciful to me. So with this, we pray to Srimati Radharani, we pray to Sri Rupa Manjari, the confidential servants of Radharani, to bless us, purify us so that we can engage our mind, body, words in devotional service in a way that pleases Guru and Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami ki jai, Srimati Radharani ki jai, Shri Radha Govinda Dev ki jai, Vrindavaneshwari Radharani ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samasta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna lage. Sab Krishna, Krishna, Krishna lage. Sab Krishna, Krishna, Krishna lage. Sab Krishna, Krishna